What's going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new episode of my top 5 decks to play this month. And here we are in September, and I've been playing a bunch of different stuff this month on my own or on stream, and having a lot of chances to experiment with a bunch of different strategies and be able to sort of pick and choose my favorite things that I've had to play this month of decks that I own. And I've been able to play a wide variety of stuff, which is nice because sometimes I get too caught up in just one thing and I sort of forget about all the other amazing decks that I've had to play in the past. But yeah, before we get started, I want to mention a shout out to TCG Player and Imperium Duelist. Check out the links down in the description below if you want to support me by either shopping on TCG Player or buying things on Imperium Duelist using my discount code WinterKills10 off down in the description below. So yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into number 5. And I'll go ahead and show you guys the deck list for these decks as well. First things first, for number 5, I want to talk about Necross. And Necross has been a favorite deck of mine for many years. I played it when it was at full power, when we still had Jin, and Brya was at 3, and we had 3 prep like we do now, after so many years, of course. But the deck was phenomenal. It was extremely consistent, at a very, very potent win condition of just, trishing your opponent's field, or Jin locking them and just pushing for a lot of damage and completely stunning them with Yugioh, because that card was at 3 and so easily to get, even if your opponent was able to clear it, which was highly unlikely because you had cards like Gungnir and Trish to protect it, and Valk. Just so many ways to protect these cards. And the deck sort of has evolved to a similar strategy. It's still sort of protect the castle. With Yugioh being at 1, that phrase couldn't be more better suited for this deck. It is very much protect the castle, with so many decks being reliant on extra deck strategies like link monsters and things like that. Yugioh becomes exceedingly better. And now we also have the ability with the Incantation engine, which is probably my favorite thing about this deck, is being able to constantly reveal, summon, and summon, get access to cards like Incantation Chalice Slime and the Incantation Inception. The Incantation Inception, like that engine works so well to be able to send an incantation, add it back, summon one from deck, reveal something, discard something to special summon off Chalice Slime, search spells or monsters from decks, or spells and monsters back from the graveyard. It's just such a versatile engine to the deck, and I really love it. It's probably my favorite thing, also playing cards like Celestial Observatory and Foolish Burial Goods, because there's a lot of good synergy for those cards in here. And it's still a very much protect the castle strategy, but it's a lot different now, and it's a lot more fun to play, a lot more interesting things you can throw in here. I've seen anything from 40 to 60 card builds of this deck being played, Vanity's Ruler, Zaborg, so many different things. Currently I'm just running Vanity's Ruler. I've decided to drop the Zaborg again to free up extra deck space and things like that, to play a clean cut 40. Yes, could you find room for triple Zaborg in a 40 card deck? Probably. You just have to cut some cards and add it in, no problem. But yeah, I mean, it's a really fun deck. Still relies on pretty fragile strategies, but they're very potent strategies, to say the least. That's 100%. Still very consistent. We haven't lost that consistency, but with cards like Ash Blossom and Permanence, and all of these other cards that are being played, the deck can be hindered by it. But we did get a little support back, I guess, from the Megatins. Dark Ruler, Namor, and Nibiru really helped this deck go second, which it has a problem doing. It's very much a go first deck. Set up a lot of stun potential with Yugioh and Vanity's Ruler, and the Zaborg, the Mega Monarch, which is an instant win if it can go through, if it doesn't get impermanence. But that's why we see people playing cards like Saravis to protect them, to make sure that these strategies and win conditions can go through and survive. But like I said, still a very strong deck. Definitely competitively viable. This format, we've seen it do well at events and stuff, in YCSs, regionals, OTSs, things like that. So 100% competitively viable, and I would say pretty cheap overall. Most of the things that you'd be playing here have been reprinted a lot of the Necross cards, the Incantation stuff, and pretty much everything else. Even a lot of the expensive stuff in the extra deck, apart from Daguster Emerald. But everything else, for the most part, is pretty cheap, which is really nice. So now we'll move on to number 4. So coming in at number 4 is Burning Abyss. And the reason I wanted to talk about Burning Abyss is because Much like Necross, there are so many variants of this deck that can be run, and they're all very, very, very good. It just depends on really what your play style is. We have like a rank 3, you know, spam turbo build like you have here. We've seen Guard Dragon variants, Orcus variants. We've seen the Block Dragon variant, which has just evolved over time to become very, very potent and very, very punch for game Burning Abyss strategy with Block Dragon and Gigantes and things like that. It's less reliant on Burning Abyss. You're mainly just milling cards to the graveyard so you can get Block Dragon, and you can just keep searching cards off Block Dragon, keep summoning them, and just keep trying to push for game no matter how many interruptions there are. This build, the build that I'm playing currently, although I've decided to drop the quick launch engine that I've been running from the Rocket structure deck and the Rocket Tracer, because I wanted to add Sekka's Light in to sort of boost consistency, because Sekka's Light's really second to none when it comes to consistency. In a deck that already has so many free special summons and a Garnet we really don't want to draw via Mare, it kind of seemed like a no-brainer to me to throw the Sekka's Light back in. Although the quick launch engine is still viable in my opinion, it basically gives you, you know, a 6 copies of Destrudo with the ability to summon Rocket Tracer with any level 3 so long as Cherubini is up on the field to be able to protect a BA to allow you to synchro to go into Yazi, which is such a powerhouse of a play. So underrated. I don't know how Mare hasn't been banned yet, and hopefully it doesn't get banned because it allows for some really cool decks to take advantage of it, like Burning Abyss, and Tenyi even. But yeah, it's just a really, really fun deck, and it's such a level 3 spam deck. It allows you to play so many different cards, from Gallus to Crusade to Reclusia, the Danger Engine, the Psychic Package, the Burning Abyss monsters themselves, and Destrudo, and a wide variety of stuff in the extra decks, Fusion, Synchro, Ixies, and Links. So, and it's a deck I've played for many years. I played it when it first came out, so it's still near and dear to my heart, much like Necross is, and it's still very, very much relevant after all of these years. So definitely 100% viable competitively, casually, you know, price-wise with the Danger reprints and all that stuff, and Burning Abyss being relatively cheap and Sekka's Light being relatively cheap. The only thing that's pretty expensive in the extra deck, I would say, would be cards like Chaos Soldier, which you don't need to play, and Cherubini isn't too expensive, but if you're going to be playing BA, expect to be able to pick up Cherubini because it's definitely needed for the deck 100%. So yeah, Burning Abyss easily coming in at number 4 for me. Now we'll move on to number 3. So coming in at number 3 is Incest, and it's sort of in its infant stages right now because we don't have all the support yet it's going to be getting in Chaos Impact, but that doesn't mean the deck isn't playable right now. It 100% is, and if you guys want to see the latest profile I did, one of the latest profiles I did was for Incest, a TCG ready build that you can play right now, so long as you have all the Incest cards that are available to us. If you want to check that deck profile, a link can be found up in the top right. Should pop up right about now, and that little eye thing that'll pop up in the top right corner. But yeah, it's a pretty redundant strategy, just using Incest Seahorse to be able to link into Slug, add it back into an enemy, and summon out it again, and make Marbled Rock, add back a bunch of cards, equip them, and you sort of sit on a big boss monster with the trap card Incest Wave, which is so underrated. It's an amazing card. It's a better impermanence strictly because you can use it from your hand. I mean, you can use impermanence from your hand. But that's only why you control no cards. This can be used from your hand just if you have a level 3 Incest or a Link 3 or higher Incest monster, which can be done off of one card, and even easier to be done when we get the support from Chaos Impact, like Mandarin and Blue Tang. It can also make all of your monsters unaffected by card effects, and it isn't a hard once per turn. And it can also negate something. Yeah, you also got to include that in there. It can negate something. And the Striker Engine can be played to a T in here because you play a lot of spells as is. You can use it for a consistency engine to be able to get draws and add cards like Widow Anchor and Afterburn to be able to clear cards or set up for your first turn fields a bit better, because most of the time you're ending on just one monster in the extra monster zone, and that is your Incest Marbled Rock or your Wonder Heart, and you can protect that with Widow Anchor much like you can Wave, but it does fall victim to hand traps in the very early stages of the combo. If your blue Slug is met with a Valor or an Impermanence or any sort of effect negation, be able to add back that Seahorse and you have no other extenders, you're pretty much out of luck because you need that card to be able to go into an enemy, and then from there to be able to link into Marbled Rock. It is victim to Phantasme because a lot of times you have multiple link monsters on board during your combo, but it's still a very, very fun deck. It's also water-based. It does require Signet Mining, unfortunately. It's just a needed card in the deck because there's not many Incest monsters that we want to play, so you need to add Signet Mine to sort of up that count without adding in other Incest monsters you don't really want to see. Right now, as it is post Chaos Impact, I'm only playing 8 Incest monsters in the main, 10 if you want to count Signet Mining, but it's definitely a lot better than the 5 we have to work with currently. 3 Seahorse, 2 Mining. I'd probably play 3 Mining, but I've cut one because I don't want to buy a third one for, I believe, a Salvage, which I might keep playing. Salvage, in of itself, very, very good in here. You also have the support of the Swap Frog engine, which is really nice, and yeah, it's just a really great deck overall. Does have its flaws. Will it be competitive? I think it will have a very, very good chance as a solid rogue contender after Chaos Impact only, though, because it can be a pretty hard deck to break with the field spell and the link monster we don't have yet, the Crystal Heart. Being able to make whatever link monster that you summon using Crystal Heart as material unaffected by card effects completely, and then the ability to protect it with Wave is very, very strong too, and Widow Anchor. And yeah, very rogue deck, I would say. A very control-based deck, a little bit of a slower play style if you ask me as well. So if you're looking for, you know, a super combo high-paced deck, this isn't that deck, but it's a nice change of pace for me because I don't usually play control decks, and it's very, very fun. It's water-based, and yeah, so I gotta put Incest at number 3 for this video, and we'll move on to number 2, which for me has to be Pure Crusadia. I know I just did a Crusadia Mech Knight deck profile yesterday, but I really am a fan of the Pure Crusadia version, because much like the Crusadia Mech Knight version, it can play the Sky Striker engine, but in the Crusadia version, you just get to focus on doing Crusadia plays and Crusadia plays only, and just punching for game with Ecomax or walling up with Avermax. It's very, very fun to play. Playing a Kaiju engine with the Slumbers, being able to take full advantage of Slumber and the Kaijus, and being able to search cards like World Legacy World Lance and World Legacy World Crown off of the card, the Crusadia Crawler, which you can flip up, summon to his own Ecomax or Avermax points to, or Ecomax, search one of those World Legacy cards, whether it be Succession or Lance, or sort of used as a pseudo hand trap, and it's just really, really fun. You get to play so many different cards in here, and like I said, take full advantage of the Crusadia engine on its own. And not to mention, you have the card like Crusadia Testament to play in here, which you can use a lot more since you're playing just Crusadias, and draw 3 or 4 cards sometimes when you can't go for game, which is rare. But when you can't go for game, what better way to bolster that fact than other than drawing 3 or 4 cards off of Testament? Super fun, super consistent, and I've always loved playing it. Loved it when it played out. I was addicted to this deck when it first came out, and I'm still loving it since, I believe, a year later when it came out in Cybernetic Horizon. So definitely got to put Crusadia up here for this month. Super fun strategy, super viable really for competitive play as well, because you can play the Guard Dragon engine in here as well. It fits super well to this deck, and you can play Spatha, Elpie, and all that good stuff like we see. But just don't get too comfortable with playing that version though, because we might see the Guard Dragons take a bit of a hit on the next ban list, and I hope they do. But even if that does happen, you still have a very solid deck to play. 100%, pretty cheap as well. Now we'll move on to my favorite deck for this month, which has to be Pure Mech Knight, because I don't love anything more at the moment than taking full advantage of the Mech Knight strategy. Like I said earlier with the Crusadia deck, playing Mech Knight Crusadia is fun, but playing Pure Crusadia is better. And what's better than playing Pure Crusadia or Mech Knight Crusadia is just pure Mech Knight, in my opinion. I love this build and this version so much more than the Invoked engine, because it feels like without the Invoked engine, the deck doesn't do much at all. It puts way too much reliance on seeing Alistair, and there's consistency issues to be had there as well, whether you see the field spell or you see Alistair, or you see multiple copies of Invocation with no Alistair or no field spell. It just can sort of spiral downhill sometimes. Is it a very good build? Playing Invoke Mech Knight, definitely viable, 100%. Not saying it isn't. I just personally prefer Pure Mech Knight much, much better, because you can fully take advantage of the Mech Knight strategy, like I've said already, because The Mech Knights are used as a small engine in Invoke Mech Knight, but here you can play it as a whole deck and take advantage of cards like Indigo and Secrets and Morningstar and Spectrum Supreme and Abermax, so much more, filled with a bunch of hand traps. And its reliance on not, well, I guess it's with it not having a reliance on needing a normal summon, it allows for a lot of creativity in playing cards like Aperia, or being able to play Mech Knight Avram, which is a really good searchable link one that can be made into Link Spider to be able to create columns. And Aperia, for those who don't know what it does, basically said if it's summoned, draw a card. And the idea with this is to draw a card, add to your pool of cards to work with in your hand, and then be able to link into Al Mirage to be able to get you started with a column if you have to go first, or second if your opponent hasn't done much. It's just such a fun deck. You'll be able to play red, yellow, and green alongside indigo and purple, and playing deck cards like Mind Control, and play multiple copies of Memory, because that card is insane. That card can't really be played in too many other versions that run Mech Knight because it locks you into only Mech Knights that turn. Yeah, easily had to put Mech Knight at number 1. I'm going to be taking it to an OTS as well this weekend. Tomorrow actually, so wish me luck on that. Hopefully I do a little bit better than I did at the YCS. Got a bit of a different build this time around, not playing the Draconet engine, so hopefully that will make things a bit easier and a little more simplified to play and less susceptible to hand traps and floodgates, hopefully. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what your favorite decks to play this month have been. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Is it one of the ones that I mentioned, or is it something completely different? Let me know down in the comment section below. And also don't forget to check out Imperium Duelist and TCG Player, my affiliate link to TCG Player down below, as well as a link to Imperium Duelist's website and that discount code WinterKill10 off. You can use to save 10% off your entire order. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. As always, guys, WinterKill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.